there's a life I could have known, one beyond my wildest dreams. Maybe that road could have carried me to streets of gold, but things aren't always as they seem. Looking back on all the chances that I missed, some I held, some slipped away. One street over where my memories exist, I wondered what would change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known, that would have kept me from the one I had today. Times gone by, I've traded like dirt into clay. I thought my memories would end. One street over is now 1,000 miles away. When I close my eyes, I'm back to where I've been. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known, that would have kept me from the one I had today.
Good morning, how you doing? This is 1100 WSBR, Neutral LaVern, and this is one street over, and oh my goodness, I hope you find this fun, what we're going to be doing this morning. It's so funny, most everybody knows I come running in here on two wheels because I live so close to the radio station, but I've been here since 6:30 today, talking to my new friend, Bruno Reagan. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. It's
So thrilled that you're here.
yeah, it's weird to be back. It's been a year since I've been on the mic, but I used to do what you do. So
That's really cool. That's really cool. And my boss is going, who got LaVern in here this early? I'm sure he's wondering what's going on, LU. But Bruno, we're school just started. So we're in the first week of school, and people who know me and follow the show, they know that I am now the audio video teacher at Greenbrier High School. I'm starting my third year. And the goal has been to bring these audio video classes into as many of the schools as possible that they can do through the CTE program, which is the Career and Technical Education Program. So they had it promised to Greenbrier first, and that's why I'm there. But they really wanted to get it going at Springfield as soon as possible. So they told me in the spring, they said, we are bringing in an audio video teacher for Springfield. We're going to find one. So we were, I talked to some friends of mine that are in the industry and, letting them know that what's going on. I'm like, have you got anybody hired? Have you got anybody hired? And we were like, we hired Bruno. So welcome.
yeah, it was kind of it's a really funny story. My journey to education. It was the Super Bowl, so that was about early February this year. I ran into my old football coach, who's the Spanish teacher at Greenbrier, Danny McGrons.
I love Mr. McGraw. He's so awesome. He's our new basketball coach.
Really?
Head basketball coach. Matter of fact,
Wow.
We're going to be doing a news update and today and tomorrow because we do news and stuff, and we'll talk. He and I had to get our heads together because our director, Mark Gregory, wanted us to kind of, we all want to be on the same page. But yeah, I got to do something with him.
Yeah.
He's the basketball coach now. So go ahead and tell your story.
Well, I mean, it's another big kid story where I walk in from my calzone to watch the Super Bowl. I'm like, I need a calzone. And he's there. And, we start chopping it up. And I tell him, yeah, because I've been teaching martial arts for the past 5 years. So I've been in the communications audiovisual industry for the past 2 to 3 years, but I also teach martial arts on the side. So I've been trying to, kind of figure out the rest of my life like any young man would. And I've been interested in teaching, but I didn't know how it would work with the degrees or anything like that. But I know they needed teachers. So I was like, at least, I don't know how, but I might squeak my way in. And he helped me. I interviewed with Greenbrier originally for a different position, but then they snatched me in the middle of the summer for audiovisual, which I was happy with because it's my more comfortable suit.
Yeah, that's hysterical because I interviewed with Springfield
Yeah.
to be an English language learner teacher because I was working in ministry at the time when I interviewed. And my passion has been I did ESL through the church and worked with a lot of newcomers and immigrants and stuff. And so I really wanted to go and get my certification to be an ELL teacher. And so that's what I was planning on doing with Springfield. And next thing I know, I get a call from Dr. Osborne from Greenbrier and said, well, we kind of want you to do audio video. And I'm like, well, that means I don't have to go back to school except for my educational preparedness program. So that's hysterical because it's kind of the same story in reverse. Because I was planning on going to Springfield and went to Greenbrier. You're planning on Greenbrier and went to Springfield.
Yeah, you kind of remind me of me. Whenever I played football, I always referred to myself as a soldier. I was an offensive lineman, so no glory, no nothing. The only time people call your name is when you mess up. And I was like, I guess that's just my personality. So the second they called me and they changed up, I was like, whatever you guys need, I'll do. So it's good. We have that same mindset.
Yeah, so that's fun. But it's exciting. And I wanted to bring Bruno in because, number one, we just had to connect, and this is the best way to do it. Because when they hired me to do this radio job, Neil Peterson, who was the owner at the time, he had been trying to get me to come and do a talk show for years because I live 2 miles from here and I've been here since 1992. And so he's been trying to get me to come and do something on the radio station and I just didn't have time. And he called me when this slot opened and said, I really want to do that. I'm like, that's my one free hour of the day. And so, or I could come in at 6, but getting me here, that early is going to be tough. But so I said, if you'll come on in at 6:30, we can talk a little bit about, shop, and then we can just introduce you to people and what we're doing in the education program. And just, it's a good back to school kind of show because if you've got kids at Springfield, you need to know that we're continuing to expand, or at Greenbrier. You don't know about my program because the incoming freshmen, they're just learning. The CTE program, the Career and Technical Education program, it's like bringing the trades back into the schools to where these kids that maybe don't have the mindset, I don't really want to go to college. I'd rather go to a technical school. I'd rather go to an art school. Maybe you don't need, I've got an electrical engineer in the family. He had to get a 4-year degree. My kids all needed 4-year degrees because I've got one that works in psychology. I've got an electrical engineer. I've got 2 that are systems engineer type people. I don't really understand their jobs, but they're at HCA and they do real heady stuff. So there's some things you've got to have that for a doctor, law, you've got to have those. Some of these trade jobs, there's so many technical jobs you can do with technical education and save that money and not have that expense of higher education that is hundreds of thousands of dollars. And there's just so many paths, and we're reintroducing those paths and saying, are you ready to be employed? You're an adult now. What's your employability perspective? And this is doing that,
I mean, you said a lot of good things. I think the most interesting thing you said, was we're bringing the trades back. And it's double-edged sword too. I hesitate to use the word trades because that kind of puts people off where it's like, oh, it's not. Audiovisual covers such an expansive field where, if to do what I do or what you and me did, like you kind of are expected to have degrees. But when I'm working my on-site jobs or my on-air jobs, it's funny because those are few in number, few in volume, and they're highly, wanted. So that's how it works against you pay-wise and things like that. But the real consistent jobs were the producer jobs, the people in the truck, the people on the cameras. And I was like, man, there's something to that. My friend Julia, who I met last season doing on air, I'm like, I think she's got probably the best gig. She's constantly got jobs lined up and stuff like that. So I've gotten to see the entire field, and I want to offer as much as possible to our students. But yes, this is, it's a field where you have to, kind of eat what you kill. You can't just be passive in it. Absolutely. And that's my first, I don't even have rules in my class. I have like 3 standards. Be honest with me, be clean, but learn when to speak up and ask. You can't be a shy boy. You can't be a shy kid. Even if you're an introvert, I'm a very introverted person. If my family listens to this, they would 100% agree. But to be in this field, if it's what you really want to do, you got to go out there and take what you want. You got to sell yourself for jobs. You have to prove that you have the skill set. But if you do that, there will be a place for you. There will be a place for you.
Yeah, and now the one thing, and I appreciate so much what you said, because that's one of the things I really hammer home with my students is the competitive nature of this. And I've been in this industry since 1980. I mean, I've been in this industry when they used to pay us $100 an hour to go do live remotes. And I'm not kidding. That was the thing back before it got deregulated, and you had these big companies come in and, on multiple stations, and you've got people doing shows across the country. I mean, we used to make good money. Now those good money jobs are to the stars. I mean, you got to be top to get that really good paycheck if you want to be in front of the camera. But like you said, the producer jobs, the jobs that are, behind the scenes, those are steady, better paying jobs a lot of the times than the talent. You'll have producers that'll be making more than your anchors, because the anchors, doing anything and everything they can do. The person that's maybe anchoring on Christmas night, the news, I doubt they're making as much as the people that are producing the show, because they're doing that because nobody else wants to do it. And they're like, yeah, just put me on the air. My first on-air shift in Nashville was Christmas as a disc jockey, because I had been, let me on the air. And they're like, okay, you want to work Christmas?
Everybody gets their first job is the obscure times. And it's a character test too. They're like, let's see how you handle it.
How much do you want it?
Yeah, they want to see how professional you are when no one's watching.
Yeah.
It was the same thing when I have a new teacher in judo, when I, was talking to someone who wanted to get into audio visual. It's, you got to treat every single thing you do like there's 1,000 people watching and live up to that standard.
For sure. And I don't know, there's just, I guess the thing is, there's so much. He and I could just talk like nobody's listening at all, because we've got so much that we really need to connect on, because we're trying to do the same thing in 2 of our Robertson County schools. So the thing for the listeners to take away is that, there's so much that's said about, we've got to fix education. This is how we do it. We bring things in that are addressing what the kids are dealing with, and there's nothing that, and in all the things that we're doing in CTE, and I know there are some amazing programs, to me, there is nothing more important than focusing in on the fact that every stinking one of us are now broadcasters because of these little beasts, these phones. I'm holding my phone up for the listeners. You're all broadcasters, and it's changed. And if we'd had this when I was first getting into the industry, oh my goodness, I'd have probably gotten in so much trouble, and I tell my principal, I say, I would love to have every single kid in this school in AV1, because I can talk to them about the fact you are a broadcaster if you're putting anything out on social media.
Absolutely. That'll be what I preach to my students. I mean, I told you how I got my first gig in the industry, my radio show, a co-hosting gig, Nashville Afternoon Drive. Now we started on weekends, but they were basically testing us, and I did it because I was uploading YouTube videos showing I can edit, they were 45 minutes in length, and I was talking the whole time, showing, I can fight the dead air, I can fight things like that, just showing good industry traits, research them up by myself. And what I love most about what we do is, at the end of the day, it's a technical field, but it's also an art form. So you got to make it yourself. And Robertson County, I'm so pumped up to be here, because they're willing to pull people from the field like us, who are, not conventional real teachers, but we get to kind of bring in that artistic mindset, and we'll follow the state standards and all that good stuff. But we also make it our own, because if you ever go in the industry, everywhere is different. Everywhere is different, and you better be able to adapt. It's like the number one trait is adaptability. So
you nailed it right there. And it's so interesting, you were talking about how that, where were I going? I told you I'm ADD, and it just left my mind.
Well, when I was talking to you beforehand, I mean, you sound like someone, you were telling me all the different things you do. I was like, yeah, no wonder you're successful in this space. You can adapt. So that's the first thing I look at when I look at anybody in this field. And that's just not just skill set. It's time-wise, you might work dead shift, you might work day shift, I was telling you about my situation at Springfield High School. I walked into a really great situation for a first year teacher. I have smaller size classes where I get to kind of find my footing as a teacher.
You really have.
But you had trial by fire. So such is the way of the world, and you kind of learn the way you can.
Yeah, and and talk about that adaptability. When I when I first got into radio, my intention, I never had any inclination to go into radio. I was a teaching major when I first started, and I had we did I played basketball, and one of the local radio people back in West Kentucky used to say, "I like talking to LaVern on the radio. She sounds good." And I never thought about it. And when I was sitting in chapel at Freed-Hardeman University, and they said, "Hey, we need people to do news," I was like, Gary Kidd said I sound good on the radio. Maybe I'll look at that. I ended up changing my major immediately and started doing news. And then my mindset was, I want to be on television. I want to be the TV news anchor. And so I had that in my mindset. But when I got to Nashville, I couldn't open those doors. And I became a board op for talk shows on 1510 WLAC. And I kept saying, put me on the air, because I'd been on the air in West Tennessee. I'd been on the air around the Jackson area. And they finally let me on. And then they're like, "Hey, can you do traffic?" I'm like, "Sure." I had no clue. No clue.
That's awesome.
So I started just listening to people who were doing traffic, and I was going to be just a fill-in for traffic. And so I get on the air with them that next week, and I'm going, "Hey, LaVern's doing traffic for us. We need to come up with a nickname for her." A listener called in and said, "Why don't we call her U-Turn LaVern?" And it stuck, and it was so catchy.
Yeah.
We ended up doing a trademark on it while I was on the air. And I did that for 28 years, and it was that's what I'm talking about, that adaptability. I built a complete career around just being willing to go, "Yeah, I can do that." And so you've got to do that in this kind of an industry.
And there's such a balance personality wise too, because you have to be confident enough to be able to sell yourself, understand you're on the air. Even if you're not, you had to kind of trick yourself in that mindset and be performative. But you also have to be humble enough, because you are never going to get the big time job right out of the gate. You're going to get stuck to the gutter. You're going to have to do something you're uncomfortable with. But if you succeed in those things, I mean, you're getting tested every second of the day when you're in this field. The people just want to see how you react. And even if you have bad days, how do you react to those bad days? People are watching that stuff too. So it all matters. I get fired up every time I talk to somebody in the street. Now there's some people who are a little entitled, but this kind of, stay in their wayward side. Yeah.
We call them divas.
For sure. But you find what you like. What I found through the short time compared to other people in the field is I like being a team player. I like being I like being a color commentator type. I like being the co-host. The host stuff, other people are just so much better at me. But I feel like I can take what they're talking about, nitpick something, identify what the audience thinks. I think that's my role. Now, if I have to host something, I'll host it. If I have to be a producer, I produce.
Exactly.
That's just part of the deal.
That's cool. Something I wanted to ask you. Well, which radio station were you on in Nashville?
WNSR, 560 AM, 95.9 FM.
Very cool. Very cool. Was it sports?
Yes, it was afternoon drive sports. So we started on weekends, and then they gave us the amazing opportunity to be sports. And then football called me one more time, and I up and left within 6 hours to Texas. So that was, I think they would have kept me on for certain things, but we kind of lost our afternoon drive slot after that, which I was willing to give up to give one more year of football. So
I gotcha. It's just the journey in broadcasting is so interesting. It's so different than what it used to be. And so I'm always interested to see people's pathway to what they do. And again, adaptability is just the key of it, is just saying, well, can you or can you not do that? And trusting God to open the doors for you guys. And this is a Christian, broadcast facility. We haven't really gone there, but that's what we focus on here. And everybody knows that that's me. And so I just, pray and trust God to open those doors and do what he does. But the thing that escaped me when I was saying for a minute, you were talking about the art aspect of audio and video production. And did you know we have requirements the kids have certain things they have to get. They have to get this much math, this much English. They have to get an art. They have to have, they have to have a credit in art. And AV1 counts as your art and your first career path class. So that's a lot of people don't realize that they can take AV1, never take another AV class, and that counts as their requirement for art. But it can also be your career path, because to get a career path, every kid that graduates from Robertson County now has to have a career path. That means they have to either do the engineering career path or the health sciences or design, or like you were going into computers, the business, or they can do audio video, or they can do things through agriculture. But it takes 3 classes to complete a career path. You have to do 1, 2, and 3 of something career generated to get your diploma. So you got to have a career path, and you also and you have to have an art. So I tell the kids, take AV1. If you don't like it, you've got your art. and you can pick another career path. So did you know it was an art? Did it met your art requirement?
So I've had students ask, how does this class kind of regulate in? And I was like, well, to be honest, I'm not too sure. But I will say, one, you're going to enjoy it. Two, you'll learn a lot. Three, you'll have fun. So that's kind of what I've been focused on. But that's something important because we have to send out by the 23rd my little one-pagers to sell to parents. It's going to be a big selling point for me now that you tell me that.
But that's what it is. So you're going to give anybody who takes AV1, you got your art out of the way. And if you want to advance beyond that, take AV2 and 3, and there's your career path. So you've got those boxes checked because they have to have a career path, which is a 1, 2, and 3, and something in CTE, something that's in career and technical education. And you also have to have an art. AV1 fulfills the foundation of your career path and your art. So parents, if you're trying to direct your freshmen, what you don't want to have happen is a kid get into their junior year and they're not in a second level career and technical education class, Yeah,
it's going to hijack their upperclassmen.
Yeah, because, what happened? I have a sweet kid that's been in my class. He's been with me a couple of years now. He transferred in from Florida. And he didn't have career and technical education. He's brilliant, great ACT scores, just really smart kid. And he had AV1 and 2 because he had to get a career path. And so he wanted to do AV. But now here he is a senior, completely qualified to graduate early, but he's missing AV3 to complete his career path. And it's only offered in the spring. So, that kind of messed him up wanting to graduate early. Now we're trying to fix doing some workarounds because I have a smaller AV2 class. We can't do this just all the time, but we're going to have an AV3 curriculum for him
in the 2 class.
Yes.
That's cool.
And so we're able to do that to get him to where he can have the opportunity. And Mr. Gregory told me when we asked to do this yesterday, he goes, "You're opening a can of worms, Ms. Vivio." And I'm like, "Well, we'll do it when we can. I can't put another level kid in a class that I've got 24 students in, or even 15 or 20 students in, because that's just a little bit too many cats to herd." But in the smaller class, it worked out perfectly for this student to come in and say, "Okay, he's my AV3 student. He's going to focus on being my primary news editor because he knows how to do all the things." So I told him yesterday, I said, "Your job tomorrow," because we're cutting a news report today, and I said, "I'm going to need you to edit that." Because what we do the news. We try to push the news out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we record them. We record the Monday news on Friday. We record, of course, Wednesdays on Tuesday. We record Fridays on Thursday. And that's what we're working towards. I want to eventually do a live stream. But there's a lot
live is it's a very interesting thing and it's very tough, but that's impressive. You do 3 days out of the week. Most programs in schools do 1 and then they call it there. So
we did that at first, and but it became something that we can facilitate. Number one, we've got the talent. We've got kiddos that can be news anchors. You've got to have people that are comfortable in front of that camera and they can sit down and do it. And that's one thing. All of your students, put them in front of the camera, let them see themselves. And you'll be surprised. Some of them will go, "Oh, I can do this." And so, the fact that we've got we've got news anchors that are kind of built in. So, and there's some everywhere. You sometimes have to pull them from other places, but you can bring them in. But this is fun. This is the kind of stuff's going on in your Robertson County school systems, guys. Isn't it exciting? I mean, we're having so much fun, and we're talking audio, video production, but all the different programs in CTE. I mean, that may be something I need to do with the shows is bring somebody in from each department of CTE. Like I've got my, my folks in Dr. Gibson and Ms. Harden with the ag program. Our ag programs are fabulous. If you have somebody that's interested in those kinds of things, the different things, because they've been around for so long, and then the health sciences, and then, like you said, computers and all the things to do with, there's my Miss McCullough, I forget exactly what the title, but they talk about, they teach you to change the oil in your car, things like that. They teach you how to change a tire. They teach you how to cook. It's like life skills kind of thing. They've got a CTE that's that. There's culinary classes. There are classes in fashion design. I mean, there's so many things. And so all this is going on in Robertson County schools, y'all. And I think they're still looking for somebody to teach HVAC. And so if you know somebody that wants to teach HVAC that's an industry professional, they need you. I don't think have they hired anybody for that?
No.
That's something they're looking for.
But I would recommend, trying the teaching path or heavily considering it. If it fits well with my personality naturally. I feel like I can connect, and I like, I like watching kids learn. But I was someone who's kind of, a few years in the industry. I was like, I like the work, but sometimes teachers are great people. I have found to be, now the students might disagree, but as a colleague, the teachers have been nothing. I have not met someone not willing to help yet, which has been, I just want to be on a team with great people, remind me of my old sports days, and that's what teaching is. So that would be my selling point. If you want, the work might be awkward at first, but you'll figure it out. Just being around good people makes it way easier.
It's so funny. I was telling you need to talk to my hubby because he was the same way as I was. He got kind of overwhelmed right out of the gate with all the teacherese speak and all that. And it's like, well, how do I even make copies?
You're going to learn a lot of acronyms. There's going to be a lot of acronyms.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy, the acronyms. But my husband has a list of questions. He goes, here are the questions I had and how we answered them. He can't find it. He goes, I wanted to show that to Bruno and I can't find it. Because, that's what some of the classes, you have to put all your stuff away and stow it and they come clean the floors and all that. I've been blessed. I don't have to do that because my lab is set up. They use it for summer school, so I don't have to reset my class up every year. So he's having to reset everything up, and he's like, I don't know where to put it. Let me do a break real quick, and we're going to come wrap it up with Bruno. I know I saw Dr. K coming in, going to talk to us about raise your hand and all the things that United Way does with our school systems. And other just amazing things happen in our schools. That's our focus this week. We're talking schools, and we're talking fair. The fair's going on. I'll touch on that in just a minute. Don't forget the county fair's happening. You got to get out to the county fair. But we also want to remind you of all the fun things happening at the old Highland Rim Speedway. You're talking with Ronnie yesterday. He was in here and he says, we call it Veterans Motorplex. It's been rebranded, of course. Everybody knows that. But it's always at the rim. Everybody knows that because it's historical. It's one of the best kept secrets in the county is this amazing sportsplex, which is the old Highland Rim Speedway, and it's Veterans Motorplex now. Jerry took and revamped it all. It is so family friendly. It is just absolutely wonderful out there. If you've not been to the races and you think you're not, I don't know if I'm a race person. Oh, it's so cool. It is so much fun. But it's at 6801 Kelly Willis Road in Greenbrier. They race every Saturday night, weather permitting. You need to really follow them, though, at the old webpage, Highland Rim Speedway, because that's where they're going to tell you if they have a rain delay, and that's on Facebook. But if you go and follow them at Highland Rim Speedway, if there's some kind of delay, something going on, and just what's happening that weekend with the races, that's where you're going to find out all the information. Get out to the races. Do not let this season end without going to the races at least once or twice. I went about 3 times last year. Honestly, I've got to get out there, too. I've been so busy this summer, but it is definitely on my bucket list before the season closes because it's just a blast. I got to get my grandkids out there and watch those cars fly around that quarter-mile high bank asphalt bull ring. It is so much fun. Racing going on through October, every Saturday night, weather permitting. $40 ticket will get up to 8 people in for one price. You can get up to 6 kids and 2 adults in for $40. Got a great concession stand, totally family friendly, no alcohol sold. You don't have to worry about that influence. It is great. It is awesome. Great time. The old Highland Rim Speedway is a Veterans Motorplex, one of our longtime loyal sponsors, and we appreciate them so much. When you see Jerry, tell him okay, we're going to wrap up our time with my colleague, Bruno Reagan. He is the new audio video producer teacher at Springfield High School. Our rival, of course. You can't, you got Greenbrier, My husband being at Springfield and I'm at Greenbrier, it's like, on the foot,
Yeah, they already put B Greenbrier stuff all over my room, so I was like, okay, I guess that's why.
And I'll tell you what, too, that beat Greenbrier tonight is the pep rally on the square. And Greenbrier always does very well. And so everybody's trying to, unseat us. Ain't going to do it. Ain't gonna do it. We're gonna win it again. But the rally on the square, that may be what they're talking about. I don't know when. I don't know when we're playing football. But they're probably coming after the rally on the pep rally on the square thing. But yeah, there's quite the rivalry between Greenbrier and Springfield. So I got United Way folks standing out there. Parting thoughts, my friend.
I'm excited to have a colleague like you. I mean, I was telling you coming in. I will say about teachers, very passionate, but they have a certain speak to them. We come from an industry. I also come from the sports world, and you're kind of a no nonsense. Here's how I see it, and here's how my plans. And I was like, oh, it's a breath of fresh air. So I appreciate you having me on. It was a great meeting.
Well, and I appreciate you being willing to come out so early because this truly is my only free time of the day. Especially if you're doing judo at night, man. We're going to have to just kind of come and meet at the radio station at 6:30 a couple of times, And
I'll go with me. I'm a morning
right.
person.
Well, nice to meet you, Bruno.
Nice to meet you, too.
Welcome to Robertson County School System.
Thank you.
That's your new audio video teacher, CTE at Springfield. Introduce your kids to him. Thank you, Bruno. God bless you. And I'm going to let him make his way out. I'm going to do another ad and let my United Way folks come on in here and get seated. And we appreciate y'all joining us. This is 1100 WSGI, of course. And we talk a lot about Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty. If you have real estate questions, guys, here's how you find out, just here, if you call them and they can't answer your question, but if you call them and they can't answer your question, then just all you got to do is, they will point you to the right direction. They will know who. Y'all come on in and sit down. You don't have to be so quiet. You're good. Come on in, sit down, make yourself. Bruno's trying to say, hey, be quiet. Nah, they're used to it. Just come on in, sit down, make yourself at home. This is live radio. Thank you, Bruno. But Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty, anything that's going on in the real estate community, I love them because if it's some, honestly, I don't think you could ask them anything they can't tell you. I mean, they're pretty good at coming up with the answers and giving you straight answers on stuff. But if you hit them with something and they're not 100% sure about it, they're going to point you in the right direction. They've got such a wonderful, diverse experience base. Rebecca was in radiology, of all things, before she went into real estate years and years ago. But she's also from Kentucky. Barry's from Kentucky. So we're right here on the Kentucky border. So they've got the experience of, having been Kentuckians and now being in Cross Plains for nearly 30 years, that they specialize in Robertson County properties because, again, they've been here for nearly 30 years. But they also understand Kentucky and the surrounding areas because they've worked in Nashville. Barry was 17 years marketing vice president in Nashville for a media marketing company. And you just got all of that experience from the logistics of where they've lived and the places they've been and the careers that they've had. And they bring that to real estate, and you come to them and you say, okay, here's what I'm doing career-wise and here's what I'm needing. I know somebody was looking for a particular building for a commercial type venture, and they could understand it because it was actually somebody trying to do some video production, and Barry was like, well, we need some higher ceilings. We need this. They understand so much about what you're talking about because they've had that vast, diverse experience in their background as well. Great friends of this program. They, again, are part of the Exit team. They were with the Garden Gate team for a long time. They switched over to Exit Prime Realty. They just wanted to bring you a new branch in the Exit tree. What they did is they combined Rebecca's agency office with Barry's brokerage office that's here in Springfield. Her agency office is in White House. Brokerage office is here in Springfield. Put them two together, and you got a new branch in the Exit tree, Exit Prime Realty. Any question you have, they are there to help you out with it. And all you got to do is just pick up the phone, give Rebecca a call, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. Sellwithbecky.com, buy, BUYRobertsonCounty.com. So many ways to find them. But when you get a hold of them, please always let them know. We appreciate them sponsoring West Street Over. Dr. K is in the house. I'm going to get this way so I can see this and we can see her. Come on, keep going. Keep going. You come on this way. I think Dr. K is in a good space. I want to get you right up on that microphone. You see how I'm talking in that microphone? You want to get right up on that thing. So, okay, Dr. K, how are you doing, lovely lady?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Something was said about United Way, and I was like, well, Dr. K, I love her. That's always the reaction, because I'll bring your name up because you just have this smile that just lights up, and you just light up a room, and you've brought a young lady with you that's got the same persona there. You just got that same light she's got. Introduce us.
All right, so this is April King. She is our data manager for Raise Your Hand, and she's also a volunteer coordinator for Cheatham County.
Okay.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to get you to tip that microphone down where you're talking right into that for me.
Do I need to scoot up?
Yeah, you can scoot up and then talk right into it for me. There you go. Now you're good.
Yay.
Now you're good. Wonderful. And so now tell me your name again, because I was looking at my April.
Yes.
April. And of course, I was told your names beforehand, and it just slipped my mind. So I
Oh, no, you're
apologize.
fine.
But anyway, we just love any time that y'all can come in. I love what you do with Raise Your Hand. And, we just had my colleague in the school systems. We understand so much what's needed in our school systems, and more programs like this, so desperately needed, more volunteers, more good teachers, just more of you involved in what's going on in our school systems. So, how's it going with Raise Your Hand? How's your volunteer slate going? Are we meeting the needs, or how many? You don't need anybody else? Or?
I wish I could say that was the case.
We always need people.
We're full.
I wish I could say that was the
It's
case.
a waiting list. No.
But we definitely need people, especially
Absolutely.
in Robertson County. Of course, there was an increase. There was a 64% increase with reading and a 70% increase improvement with math in Robertson County. And we served over 460 students. So we did an amazing job serving students across 11 schools. However, we always need volunteers. A lot of people will say, oh, somebody else will do it well. When you kick the can down the road, so to speak, it doesn't actually get done, right?
Yeah.
So we had 111 teachers volunteer, but only 2 people in the community came out to volunteer during the entire school year last year, and that is a big
in Robertson County.
in Robertson County.
What?
So we need people.
We need people.
So you had how many teachers? So these are people already teaching, and this is something again it's on my bucket list. I'm just trying to get through all my education. I'm in school still, and I'm making excuses. I know, but I mean, I will do this eventually. I'll be with you. I'm just trying to make it, logistically work. So I'm a teacher. I'm already affecting the kids' lives. But you only had 2 people in the community in Robertson County. Guys, come on, man! You're kidding me. Now, how many? Do you have a number on how many students that helped?
There of those 2 volunteers, one was a high school student.
Oh my goodness!
Like there was a lot of interest with high school students. A lot of them expressed interest, but unfortunately, it never transitioned to them actually coming into the tutoring spaces
Really?
for various reasons. Either they said they had trouble with car issues, they couldn't get there driving wise, or they had extracurricular activities that they couldn't get there, unfortunately. So we're just really trying, like, if it's possible, if you don't have like that many extracurricular activities, or even if you do, if you can just do 1 hour a week, like we talked about in the past, that would be a huge help.
Well, and here's the thing, guys, kiddos, students. Do you understand? If you're going to use Tennessee Promise, you've got to have volunteer hours.
Right.
This qualifies
Yep.
with your
Yes.
volunteer hours.
It does.
And I think I know the student you're talking about, because we had a student. Is the student from Greenbrier that volunteered? Because do you know? I don't want to call the name.
If I'm not
They
mistaken,
graduated.
this student was from Joe Burns
Okay, well, never mind then,
High
'cause
School.
I had thought there was a student that I knew pretty well that was familiar with Raise Your Hand. And I thought she was volunteering with Raise Your Hand. And maybe she was just one of those that was going to and just didn't get there. So, oh, guys, come on. If you need volunteer hours, what a great way to get them. I mean, and it's just, you can knock them out without any question. I just,
an hour or
Yeah, just an hour
a
a week.
week.
yeah.
An hour a week.
Okay, we got to,
Easy
teachers,
peasy.
we got to continue to push this stuff. Because that's one thing, too. If you're in Beta Club, there's so many clubs that require you to get volunteer hours. Anything to do with honors will require volunteer hours. Tennessee Promise requires volunteer hours. It's a no-brainer to me. And the students don't have to go through the background check, right?
Right. If you're under 18, you don't have to do it.
So, oh my goodness, I can't believe we had 1 student and then 1 community volunteer. I'm going to tell you something, guys. I've been in politics, and because I've done political radio really off and on my entire career. I've stepped completely away from it, but because I don't feel called to that anymore. But I had the question asked of me so many times, what can we do? What can we do? This is what you can do. You can change your community from the inside out. I have said this so many times because of the mission work we do down in Mexico. We started going and working there and trying to help them from the inside out in their communities to improve their circumstances in their country. And I thought, this is what we need to do in our own communities. And so through programs like yours and so many other nonprofits, we talk about Open Door and the Isaiah House and CASA and anything United Way. United Way can connect you. That is, you talk about wanting to improve the circumstances in your country, in your community, in your city. You do it from the inside out. You've got to get involved. I'm shocked. That hurts my heart that we had no more than that community-wise step up to Raise Your Hand. What are we doing, y'all? I mean, I'm sorry. I don't want to get angry, but come on, man. I don't
And
get
it's
it.
for the kids.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. So I mean, if you're hearing this right now, you think, "Oh, I've been planning on doing that," then do it.
We'll take you.
I mean, come on.
We'll take any. We'll
Yeah.
take you.
I mean, that's just you. It's just we've got to do this, guys. We've got to do this, and the teachers. The reason why you have so many teachers doing it is because we're there. We're in the trenches. We see what's needed, and I get so tired of the political, talking points. It's this, it's that. You don't have any idea what you're talking about because you're not in the classroom. You do not know what you're talking about.
Right.
You've got dedicated teachers, you've got dedicated administration, you've got dedicated staff across the board and volunteers coming in there that care about these kids. And if you want to fix the things you see wrong in society, then get in the trenches, man. 1 hour a week.
1
Come
hour a
on.
week, and
That's it.
education is key.
You
It's
better
not-
believe it.
It's not like it's not a babysitting thing. It's not
No.
a we're aftercare. It's to help these kids thrive.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the ones that are, I don't want to say left behind, but they're left
You
behind.
better believe
And we
they
want to
are.
bridge that gap between being left behind and education,
It's
which
incredible.
is so important.
Well, and people don't realize that there's so many kids, God bless them, because of some of the things that are happening in the world. We've got just crisis in addiction.
Right.
They don't have anybody at home encouraging them.
Right.
They just need somebody encouraging them, saying, you can do
And sometimes
this.
that's all it takes. It's
That's
not
it.
even about the work. It could be a volunteer. Yes, little Johnny, you're doing it. And then little Johnny's like, oh my gosh, I am doing it.
You bet.
You know what I mean? So
Man, those numbers just really distress me when you said that, though, because that's like, come on, people. So, all right.
Like people are reaching out and they'll fill out an application. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong,
that's
we're
what we're
getting
getting.
applications,
Yeah,
but
that's what
it's
we're
just the
getting.
transition from application to going into the classrooms and volunteering that there's fall off.
Is there possibly a little bit of a delay because of the background check? Does that kind of stop them, do you think? And I mean, you got to have it, guys. I mean,
Right.
just do it.
I mean,
even the
that's-
teachers, I've got to do
I
another
was going to
background
say
check.
that's anything, not even just us.
Yeah.
That's a job. You
Yeah.
got to get a background.
Yeah,
check.
exactly.
And you don't have to pay for it. We pay for it.
Yeah. Usually the ones that get to the point where they say, okay, I've done all this, I'm ready for my background check, they're the ones that actually go. It's the ones that after I say, hey, make sure you go through and complete the module and everything like that. And then after that email, we hear nothing. They don't even get to the background check part.
Okay. Because I mean, I know that I filled out the app and I haven't gotten any further. And again, it's life in general, that's just going on. And so I'm making excuses. I know. So I'm trying to think, okay, what stopped me from continuing with it? But I'm already in the schools, guys. So I'm going to go back and look at it from a volunteer perspective and say, okay, I don't know if maybe there's a nuance that could continue.
Yeah,
to
let us know.
improve.
Yeah.
It could be something on our end.
Yeah.
That's why we don't get as far as we get.
Yeah,
You know?
and we know that sometimes the module can be overwhelming, but last year we decided to implement training. So now we will walk you through the module. So if you have a question or something confusing or you don't understand something, we walk you through the entire module and help you figure out how to do the training module so it's a lot easier for you to get through. So if that's a barrier, we have those trainings that we offer each year.
So is that an in-person training or something you do virtually?
It's virtual.
That might be one thing because I do know that you have retirees that just don't get technology a lot of times because they're they're like, okay, you've already lost me. And that's hard. Just like I had the young man that was in here that's teaching with me, and I have so many times that I'm talking to seasoned veteran teachers and they start talking to me and then they all go, and they're just assuming I know pieces and parts that are just second nature to them. I'm like, okay, stop.
Yeah.
Let's go back here because you took a road here and you made a turn and I didn't see where you went. It's like when you're following behind somebody and you're trying to keep them in your sights, all of a sudden they turn and you're like, where'd they go?
Right.
And so sometimes that happens with people with technology and the older generations. I don't know. Can you think about maybe doing an in-person training?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can
To say,
definitely do
okay,
that.
you're there. Do you want to do your training online or do you want to come in?
Like give them options.
Yeah.
That might make a difference.
We could do that.
That might make a difference. And just, bring them to the library once a month. And let's say if you can do this online or you can come to the library and we're going to do it with you. That might help
Yeah.
because I do know, I mean,
Well,
I
that
know.
makes total sense.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people, I have to stay up on technology because of the industry I'm in, But I've got a lot of friends in their 60s that are just like, I don't,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not hard. Come on. But to them it is.
Right.
I remember a conversation I had with somebody in authority over me this week. And they started, I was like, okay, explain this to me. And then they made that turn. I'm like, and I've learned to say,
Hold on.
clarify
Yeah.
and not be afraid to say, okay, you've lost me.
Right.
Here's what you got to do to get me back where you are.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people, when they get into stuff that they're trying to register for, they get overwhelmed and they just, okay, I'm just not going to do it.
Yep.
That's just God telling me that's not for me.
Yep.
No, that's not.
And I'm-
That's God telling you.
Yeah.
You need to learn. You need to keep learning. You're never
Right.
supposed to stop learning, y'all. Come
Right.
on.
Lifelong learners.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, man, we got to fix this, y'all. Y'all got to come back in here in a month and tell me those numbers have changed.
I hope so.
I really hope
Come
so.
on,
I can
y'all.
tell you that those numbers have changed. and
That's right.
We're pulling for it. And again, to fill out application, just go to United Way of Greater Nashville, UnitedWayGN.org/get involved. And it'll be a part on the page that says volunteers needed. You just click on that and it'll take you straight to the raise your hand page so you can fill out an application. It's really streamlined.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to talk to. I'll reach out to my folks with Beta Club and Honors, all those people at school, and I'll talk to them because see, I'm a senior class sponsor, so I will talk to my homeroom today about do you have your volunteer hours? If you don't, this is a way to get them. I've got 2 or 3 people in mind in my class. One that's going to be a teacher. You know who you are, young lady. I'm going to be on you. I'm going to be talking to you, and so she'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she even realizes this is an option.
Yeah.
And so maybe because I've got an initiative that they've given to me from the career and technical education part. We've got a requirement now in the county to graduate. The kids have to get a certification that's a employability certification that we're doing through the CTE. And so I'm the one that's kind of the spokesperson for it at Greenbrier. So I'm going to be in front of all these seniors talking to them. And I can definitely say, oh, by the way, if you need volunteer hours,
Yeah.
And
so I'll just put that on my little on my little bullet point list to go over with the kids.
that's awesome. And Greenbrier Elementary School is right there. We need volunteers there too. And at Watauga Elementary right up the road.
right
So
You bet.
We-
So easy to do.
And it really is. And a lot of it, I think too, I don't know if some volunteers get afraid, oh, who don't teach, quote unquote. It's more assisting the teacher in there. More, they'll be doing most of the work.
Right.
You're just assisting. You might pass out curriculum. You might, I don't know.
go over flashcards.
Right. So
Like,
it's not,
yeah.
don't be afraid. It's not like, oh, I'm going to be standing in front of 20 little Johnnies and I'm teaching math.
Right.
It's not, it's not that
And
at
it's
all.
we're talking about the programs. You're going to be assisting with the tutorial programs that
Yes.
happen after school
Yep.
in our elementary schools.
With
Right.
a teacher. So you're not,
With a
you're not by yourself. You're not thrown into the wolves. It's with a certified teacher.
Right.
That's right. And it's an hour a week.
Oh, hour a
Or
week.
you can do more if you want.
Yeah, if you
can.
want,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
we'll take you if you want to do more. But it is at least an hour a week.
Okay.
Yep.
So what days of the week does this typically happen? Is it Monday through Friday?
Typically, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Typically in Robertson County they don't have tutoring on Mondays and Fridays. So Tuesday, Wednesday,
That's
Thursday.
pretty much standard across the board. for our program.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So, look at those schedules, guys, and about typically probably what time would it be happening?
Typically it's from 2:30 to 4.
Okay. So that would be the thing with Greenbrier High School. We get out at 3.
Right, and there's a situation with the young man that volunteered last year. We're aware of that they won't get there to a certain time, and we make a note of that. The schools know that they get out at a certain time. They won't be there for like 20 or 30 minutes after,
Gotcha.
and they still get that full hour. We don't.
Okay.
Yeah, some of the classrooms, at least in my experience at Cheatham County, will just push back their tutoring time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they have snack and everything at the
Right.
beginning.
Yep.
You know, a lot of them go outside, run around, get some of the energy out because
Right.
they've been sitting in the classroom all day. So give them some time.
There's a
and
transition period before tutoring starts.
And I would imagine if I had a student that was in my 4th block class and they tell me, hey, I'm a volunteer and I need to get over to the elementary school, I get it approved from my administrator and we could probably even let them slip out a few minutes early on
Yeah.
the day they tutor, to get out ahead of the the pack of traffic and stuff. Now I don't know, Dr. Osborne. I'd have to run that by her.
Right.
There may be reasons why logistically they just can't allow that, but I would think that's a possibility too. So, but I mean, this is what it's all about, guys. We're here starting a new school year. You want to know what you can do to make a difference. This will make a difference in a kid's life.
Help little
And
Johnny succeed.
You got it for sure. All right, guys. So you go to
United Way, GreaterNashville.org / get involved.
Get involved, and it'll pop up, and you just hit the volunteer clip. So, what is do y'all have a Facebook presence? Y'all do? Do y'all have a link from a Facebook place, or do you know, or does it just go to the?
It just goes to the website.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I know we have a Facebook. I don't know Raise Your Hand specifically.
Yeah.
Or United Way has a Facebook.
We have United Way has a Facebook and an Instagram, but we don't have a specific one just for Raise Your Hand.
I would imagine Raise Your Hand can be linked from there, though.
Yeah.
We'll have to check it out. But you can just Google Raise Your Hand, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Google master. Come on.
Yes.
You
Very
know,
true.
you can find anything on Google.
Yep.
You know, I used something in a ministry thing last night. People were like, well, how'd you find that? I said, just Google this and you'll find it.
Pretty
Just
much.
a couple of keywords. So Raise Your Hand, Nashville, United Way. I bet you find it. Just saying. So now I've got my ads done. So it's all you guys for the next. We got 9 minutes left. What are we missing? What do you want to say that we've not covered?
Just both from being both as a tutor, because I've tutored for a number of years, and being in the classroom, I don't think people realize, again, how much of an impact they have on these young kiddos' life. Granted that some of them have not so great home situations, and some of them have quote unquote optimal home situations, but their parents work all the time, and so they don't get that extra support from their parents that they need. And so just your ability to give your support, even if it's an hour a week, makes a huge difference to these children in ways that you don't know. And like we've talked about in the past, you don't have to be well knowledgeable in algebra or anything like that. This is elementary school, basic multiplication facts, addition facts, things like that. It's really simple. And we work, and now we have kindergarten. They've added kindergarten now. So now it's kindergarten through 6th grade that we're serving. So if you want to work mainly with a kindergarten or 1st grade, or if you feel like you do well with math and you want to work with the 5th grade or 6th grade, we can make that accommodation. We can put you in the classroom or the grade level in which you're most comfortable. So that's not an issue. We can even try and get you into a school that's closest to where you work or where you live, if that's the thing. Because like I said, we're in 11 schools spread out throughout Robertson County. So there are plenty of options of places for you to go.
Yeah. And I
I
agree.
love it.
And to add to that, just really quick, like Dr. K said, yes, we want you to tutor, and the education is key, but it's also about the well-being of the child. Like little Johnny might not get that support that he needs. So think of it, not only are you helping academically, you're helping the whole child. You're building relationships that they may not have. That 1 hour a week might be that 1 hour that they look forward to, because Miss Susie, I don't know, she put her hand on my back and said, good job. And that they may not hear a good job.
Isn't that amazing?
You know what I'm like? So just think of it, not only academically, you're helping the well-being of the whole child.
You better believe it. And I think all of us can think back on those people that were not in our family that said something to us, and we're like, oh,
Yeah. And you remember that.
yeah, you do.
know? You remember that.
There was talking about the ministry thing we did last night. I found this video from Jeff Foxworthy. He's a comedian, and he was talking about growing up with the guy who founded Chick-fil-A. Okay. And he said, I was just so blessed to have known him, because he didn't, Jeff Foxworthy did not, his father left. So he was raised by a grandfather, and he was in this community where Chick-fil-A was founded. And I forget the man's name, but he said he would say to him, Jeff, do you know what, how you can tell if somebody needs encouraging? And he was like, no. He goes, if they're breathing. And I thought, man, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
And he was just talking about, you know what? Just say, hey, you look nice today.
That's all it takes.
That's all it
That's
takes.
all it takes.
Be an encourager.
Yep.
And that is what this is about. And I just, like I said, I'm still stressing over that number. I'm so thankful that some teachers have stepped up, and I know I've got things I need to do too. But our community, guys, we got a lot of people out there that are retired that just constantly wring in their hands. What are we going to do? That's what we do.
Come volunteer.
You come, you get involved, man. I appreciate you guys that have worked hard, and you're retired, and you're doing what you're doing. God bless you. But God's got more for you to do.
Absolutely.
God's got more for you to do. If you're breathing, you're supposed to be in the kingdom making a difference. Enjoy your retirement, but where are you going to give back?
Absolutely.
Where are you going to give back? And I know there's some, the retirees that I'm close to that y'all are volunteering and doing all the things. I'm not talking to y'all, but I do know a lot of people, they're going, man, you don't have anybody in your life and you're, maybe fussing at your family. Well, you don't come see me. You don't do this. Why don't you get involved in somebody? You can adopt some grandkids this way.
Yep. Go see a child for an hour a week.
I was talking to my friend Becky Haywood, who's never had any biological children, but she's got 11 exchange students across the world that are her kids, and all these and that's her kids. If you've not been blessed to have kids and you want to have an involvement in life, I know that Brian Pooley, he was involved with a young man through the Big Brothers program that they're family. And I love hearing him talk about those relationships. You can have these relationships. There are kids starving for the relationship that you're starving for too, but you've got to take the initiative.
Yep.
Come on, y'all. All right. What are we missing, guys? We've got about 4 minutes here. Anything else that we need to cover?
And if you know friends that maybe they don't live in Roberts County, maybe they live in Williamson County, or they live in Dixon.
Yeah, we serve other districts.
Well, you're in Cheatham, you said.
Yeah, we're in Cheatham, but the Raise Your Hand program as a whole we're in Williamson. Where are we?
We're in Williamson, Franklin Special School District, Robertson County, Cheatham, Dixon. We're about to add Montgomery County here soon, so we'll be in Clarksville for those that are in the Clarksville area. We're in 6 surrounding counties currently, so we're definitely working. Unfortunately, we're not in Davidson County. Some people ask, why aren't you in Davidson County? Well, because Davidson has a lot of other resources for like tutoring, like Pencil and Hands on Nashville. And so we don't like to quote unquote step on toes because they have so many resources in Davidson as it is. So we prefer to, branch out and serve the surrounding counties that don't have as many resources currently.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, just like I would think Sumner County, Wilson County, some of those have got a lot more resources. They've got their counties that have more money coming in, and just because of the income levels and the lifestyles and things there, and that just changes it. But in a place that's still trying to kind of, Robertson County is becoming just this booming metropolis.
Yeah.
But to try to catch up with that monetarily from services is overwhelming. Talk to the folks that are in those offices that are going, we're trying, we're getting there and doing a fabulous job, but it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot because there's so many people coming in, and so that means there's so many people that are gonna fall through the cracks if we don't pick up and circle around them. And this is a chance just to really get your hands dirty, guys. Get in the trenches and make a difference. And you're not going to get them dirty. You're just going to fill them up with love is what you're going to, because these kids are precious. Yeah. So wonderful. I love this, guys. I just love that y'all brought in and brought us those numbers, though that does not make me happy. But tell them, what I want to end on. We talked about the fact that our volunteers, let's give that number one more time. You had how many? You had 100 something from teachers.
I had 111 teachers that were part of the Raise Your Hand tutoring program last year. Two tutors were from the community, and 464 students were served in Robertson County across 11 schools. So
that number about the people that are just in the community, we got to raise that, guys. But tell them the difference it made.
Oh, so it helped 64% of students improve their reading scores, and 70% of students improve their math scores, which is big.
That's incredible.
It's huge.
Huge numbers.
So it's working and it's needed.
You better believe it's working, and it's needed, desperately needed. So hopefully you guys if maybe you filled out an application, you're like, I forgot to go back to that. And I do encourage you guys, maybe doing it in person. Yeah. Maybe doing it in person, because I know, I talked to so many friends that are mine that's like, I just got overwhelmed and I didn't understand it. And that is a thing, unfortunately. And sometimes too, people will try to start clicking through stuff and maybe their internet connection isn't up
that
to
is
par,
true too.
and it'll slow them down. They're like, well,
and then they're discouraged. Right off the bat.
So maybe if we do something at the library once a month, once every 6 weeks, to walk these volunteers through. I don't know. Maybe we call the ones. Hey, you filled an application. Would you come to an in-person thing?
Yes,
that might help.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That might help. Reach out to the ones that have already filled out the app.
Yes,
and just say, would you consider if we did this? it might
Yeah.
work. So I don't know. We got to get this fixed, guys. This is an outstanding program. Raise your hand. Raise your hand to make a difference. And you can do it through United Way. I love United Way. So good. If you want to connect to the community, they are the bridge builder to the nonprofits in our community. So if you need to be volunteering. We all need to be volunteering. If you're not, find your thing. United Way can help you find your thing. And it might very well be raise your hand. We need you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Dr. K.
Of course, thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
everyone.
Thank
Y'all
you
come.
so
I mean, I want
much.
you back in here in about we'll talk to Brian, make sure y'all back
Yeah.
in here in about 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
We got to improve those numbers, guys. So come on,
Definitely.
it's a challenge.
Of course.
All right, thank you guys so much. And I'm going to say bye real quickly because I got to get to school. But I also want to remind you guys, the fair is happening tonight. This is your last night to go and have that one-way ticket. It'll be an $18 ticket. That will get you in the gate. And that'll get you all the rides and also everything that's happening in the arena. I think they're doing the I forgot the name of it, but it's like they've got jump and run show. I think that's what they're calling it. That's happening at the big event that's happening tonight. As far as what they're doing music wise, on the stage tonight, you've got Jake Fiddler is going to be on the acoustic stage. Tri-State Ramblers. This is the night that you can go and see the Tri-State Ramblers. Oh, and Ronnie will kick me if I don't remind you. This is car show night. So you've got the car show happening tonight, and you're going to get out there and see all that. That's what's happening at the fair tonight. Robertson County Fairgrounds, you do not want to miss it. Pep Rally on the Square is happening tonight as well. That's going to be a great time. So the kiddos can go to the Pep Rally on the Square. Then you can head over to the fairgrounds, get that $18 ticket, and you can ride all the rides. It's going to be a great time at the Robertson County Fair. It's a great time in Robertson County because you're a part of it. Thank you for being so. And this is 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a great day.